In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to set up a basic raycasting system. Raycasting is useful, for example, if you're shooting your weapons, you can actually hit enemies or detect if you're hitting a wall or some kind of other object. It can also be used for pickups if you want to pick up an object. It can also be used to detect if you're actually stood on the ground. So we'll take a look at how to actually set this up. So first of all, I'm going to be getting an invisible ray to be firing from the camera into the game world, and I want to detect when I'm actually hitting an object. So I'm just going to create a game object, 3D object, and just a simple cube. Yeah, maybe just push it back a little bit. Get this to sit about here, that's fine, okay. Also want to tag this cube as well. I've got a tag in there called pickup. If you've not got one, just click add, click plus, and you can create a new tag. Just give it a name, and then in your cube you can then just select that pickup. Okay, so right click, create a C# script. I'll call this raycast example. Okay, so we're going to get rid of all this default stuff. Whenever you're using raycasting, you are using physics. So it's advisable to use a fixed update instead of the regular update. Fixed update happens at a fixed time per second, whereas update is based on your frames per second. That can be very different from one computer to the next. Okay, so void fixed update. There we go, and it auto completes. So inside of this then, we actually want to do a raycast. So we're going to do an if physics.raycast, and then inside of this we need basically to fire the ray from a specific position, and we're going to use the camera's actual position. So let's do a transform.position. We want it to fire forward out into the world, so we're going to say transform.forward, and then we want it to hit something, so we want to say out. We want to register it into a variable called hit. Now, oops, it doesn't recognize that, which is why it's auto completed. So what we need to do here is we need to add a new variable whereby we can store whatever object we have actually hit. We'll do so by using a raycast hit. And we'll simply call this hit. Okay, imagine that that's like an empty game slot in your inspector. Whatever you hit, that object gets added to that empty game slot. So we're going to say out hit, so that's going to get registered there. And then finally we need a distance. How far should this ray fire into the world? If we do 10, it will fire in 10 meters. If we do 100 meters, etc., I'll do 1000. Then we'll open and close curly brackets. Okay, so at the moment, I want to see this actual ray. So I'm going to do a debug.drawLine. Okay. You can actually do a draw ray as well if you want. And then basically, where will it start and in what direction will it go? So it starts at the transform.position, which is the camera. And the direction is transform.forward. There we go. Okay, so that will now basically fire forward. So if I just save this and place this onto the camera, we should then be able to actually see that ray in our game world. So if I drag this onto the main camera, go over into my scene view, actually when I press play, when I'm moving my cube right in front, there we go, we can actually see the ray. It's only extending like a short distance. As soon as I move that cube away from the camera, there's no physical interactions happening. So it's only happening when the cube is right in front of the camera, when an actual raycast is taking place. If there is no collision happening, the ray does not get drawn. Okay, another way that we could do this debug.draw is to do a draw line. Once again, transform dot position. This time we're going to say that it's going to be the out point. Or is it going to be the hit point? There we go. What this is going to do, it's going to draw the line right up to the point where it actually hits something. So if we save this now, just going to press play so that it recompiles, otherwise the script will be the old script, not the new script. And if I now move my cube, you can see that the ray is extending all the way up to this cube. Okay, so when the collision is taking place, we can see pretty much what a raycast is. It's just an invisible ray that's being fired from the camera over to this object. So we gave the cube a specific tag, so let's use that. So we can say if the hit object, whatever it is that we've hit, dot collider dot compare tag is pickup, which is what we've called it. It has to be spelled exactly the same as that tag, otherwise it won't work. We're simply going to send a message to our console. So debug.log, let's call it cube. So now if I save, let that compile, go over to my console, keep an eye on this. So this time if I press play, currently getting nothing because there's no collisions taking place, but as soon as I move the X on that cube, as soon as it hits it, now we're getting those collisions. We're getting that message 340 odd times, etc. As soon as I move away, it stops. Okay, so that's really useful. If, for example, there's an enemy before you and you want to fire a ray toward that enemy, you want to detect if you're hitting him. So if I'm shooting at the moment, I'm not hitting anything. But as soon as the enemy is right in front of you, you've got a shot. All right, you have actually hit the enemy. Or if it's a pickup, if you're not right in front of that pickup, you can't pick it up. But as soon as you align yourself, you're right in front of it, you can then basically pick up that object. Okay, so that is a basic raycast system inside of Unity.